Okay. One moment as I click the right for this laptop. Hmm. Excuse me. Okay, that looks right. Hi there. Hello, internet. Camera. Hi there. My name's Dustin. For some amount of time, I'm doing pretty good. This evening, I'm going to be messing with the smallest little bits of game dev stuff, uh, and giving a little few general updates, but I just figured this would be a good night to let me grab this. Uh, yeah, I know. We almost did Skies. We almost just played Destiny, and then I was like, I just kind of wanted to, and I do want to do way more of these, especially during like more traditional business hours, like more in the afternoons and stuff. But this week was busy otherwise, so. And in fact, let's just do. So you were kind of done. Okay. Uh, yeah, let's get into it. We got done with Humicon this weekend. It was pretty good overall. Had some, Saturday was really good. The other days were just okay, but in like as the whole weekend, taken as a block was all right in terms of giving demos and talking to people and stuff like that. It wasn't bad. Got through it. A couple of long days, but it was fun. Found some bugs that need to be fixed. Got some ideas for things that we might tweak for down the drain. Yeah, man, heckin' tired for sure. And none of that, a lot of that stuff in specifics, I'm not gonna mess with here. Like some of the bug fix stuff, I have more detailed notes on elsewhere. Not gonna mess with right now. I might mess with it on future streams. I have one or two things that I might try out tonight, but we'll see how that goes. And then other than that, as far as general updates, like I just said a second ago, I'm hoping to do way more of this throughout the week, either later this week or starting next week. Like I might do something Saturday, and then if not, hopefully like at least a couple days of next week proper, I'll get some more dev stream time in that won't necessarily be on Thursday evening. That'll be just probably more during the afternoon or slightly earlier evening on like just random weekdays. But I really need to take a couple hours and get some more of that stuff organized and stuff like that. Just like get some notes on what I want to tackle and how feasibly I can at least start or even lay out my goals in a couple hours or whatever on a stream or something. But yeah, man, that's fair. I feel you. But yeah, it's been a lot going on. We also took our kitten, Colette, to the vet this week, and she's doing good, but she had to go get a checkup, so she's gonna go back in a couple weeks and get spayed and stuff. But luckily, after we got her home, she was doing okay. Um, and yeah, a lot of this week has just been regular. Like we did that. I did a bunch of little tiny cleanup things around here. It took me this whole afternoon. I spent a couple hours finally putting things back in order because take all the stuff we took to Umicon and put it back in its proper places around here. And then we had a couple of friends over who were staying here because it was easier for them to commute to drive from here to Umicon than from their place out further west, more like Ypsi, Ann Arborish, to get into downtown Detroit. So I went back like basically when they came, I had like emptied a whole room, like where we had emptied a whole room for them to stay in and blew up an air mattress, and there's another little bed back there. So I reset everything that used to be in that room, and yeah, just keep an eye on Colette. But a few other random things that I don't even remember right now off the top of my head, but a lot of just regular day-to-day life crap. Uh, yeah. So now I'm doing a little bit of this tonight. For sure. How's your packing going, Brian? On a scale of like 1 to, I guess 1 to 10, that's fine. But yeah, that stuff is like weird because you want to put everything away and then you want to pack it well. And then if you really want to do your due diligence, you want to make sure you pack it up, in a sequence such that it's easy to get the most importantest stuff out first when you take it to the place it's going. But there's certainly a science for putting your shit in boxes. Right on, right on. I bet there'll be some fun stuff in closets, man. I found all kinds of weird shit just digging through boxes and looking through closets that I haven't been through in a couple years and all kinds of nonsense. Oh yeah, for sure. Because this won't be nearly as much of an adjustment for you as it will be for her, I'm assuming. So, yeah, I feel you for sure. Okay, I mean that's something. That's progress for sure. Um, but yeah, a lot of regular life stuff. A lot of just, trying to take it one day at a time. Uh, And yeah, I kind of did the opposite. I'm hoping to, fingers crossed, I'll be pretty productive this weekend because I had the first couple days this week. I kind of took it easy after UMACon. Like I said, I did a lot of that very mindless, very chore oriented. Like I can kind of do the stuff at my own pace. So I just kind of turned my brain off and did some crap like that. Didn't take a lot of mental effort, and it took as much physical effort as I was willing to put in on a given day. I would mess with stuff for like an hour or something, and then take a little knee and do something else. And but yeah, right on. Lorraine is chilling. I think she might just be playing Destiny or something. I'm not sure exactly what she's doing. Yeah, that makes sense. Leave some of that high traffic things. Yeah, because she had a rough day at work today, I guess, and she was just kind of feeling a little crummy physically. So, like the other week when I was feeling a little bit crappy, and she kind of came in here and took the mantle up for us. I figured I'd get on here for a little bit and mess with some of this other stuff and just chill out for, hour-ish, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. We'll see how it goes. But just to throw something out there into the ether. Oh yeah, in any case, that's what she's up to. That's what we've been up to in general. Yeah, hoping to do more of this stuff for sure if I can. I've finally completely overcome the urge to Target had like buy two get one free games this week, and I was like, there's stuff that I'm like vaguely interested in playing, but like realistically I'm never gonna get around to it, and we also definitely don't need to spend the money on that shit. And any of that time I would spend on other games. I could either sprinkle in a little Destiny every evening, or more ideally just do more of this nonsense, just get more other productive shit done. So I kind of talked myself off the ledge of spending cash on some other new shit that I definitely don't need, which I think is good. And yeah, now I'm here messing with this. Yeah, same. I was interested in Outer Worlds. I kind of wanted to play Luigi's Mansion 3 just because that game sounds fun, and I like the original one a ton. I'm like vaguely interested in Death Stranding just because it seems like a weird fucking total disaster of a Hideo Kojima product. Like I just sort of want to know firsthand what that game is like, but the reviews have been so mixed that I'm also not gonna be broken up, I don't think, if I end up missing out on it. But yeah, that's about the long and short of it. So anyway. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Outer Worlds. It sounds really cool. So maybe someday I'll check out that game. We'll see. But of all the things that are coming out, I was really interested in that, and I'm very curious about that Star Wars game too, the Respawn thing, Jedi Fallen Order, I think, which is basically like from the preview stuff I remember hearing about at E3. It's like a narrative, a single player, narrative based, like vaguely Dark Souls-ish Star Wars product. But yeah, that's it. Right, that's another thing is if I did buy anything, honestly, I was looking at some of the other ads that came out for like Black Friday and stuff, and there are a lot of games that are either from earlier this year or from last year that I never had the time or just never bothered to pick up for, and like those are like all over the place between $30 and $10 for like I was sort of interested in Devil May Cry 5 or 6 or whatever the fuck number we're at now. That thing's like $15 on Black Friday. I'm like, well, it'd certainly make more sense to pay $15 for a thing and never play it than like $60 for a thing and never play it. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I play like definitely no more than like 5, like no more than a full handful of games in any given year, and even the vast majority of those I don't finish. Like we've been playing Destiny to some extent pretty nonstop. Since last year when Forsaken came out or whatever, and Still play Pokemon Go on occasion. Just like I'll boot it up usually once a day for 5 minutes, and try to go out and actually do walk-in and play it for more than that just to get some exercise. But Destiny, Pokemon Go, and just like a couple things that I manage to get to every year. But other than that, it's just, you know, being on that grind and such. But anyway, let's at least get a little bit into some of the dev stuff since we're on here. So, Umicon is in the bag. Talked about that a tiny bit. Kind of gave some general updates. Yeah, I'm hoping to get. That's good. Like as long as you're hitting, your step goals that you would have tried to hit with the game anyway. You know, I think it's fine that if you're not playing Pogo. For me, it still is like. It plays just enough of a little like carrot stick part that like if I'm like 90% ready to go walking, but I have like the tiniest bit of little like doubt, like I just feel out of it, or I feel like I could do something else with that time or whatever, it helps me put me over the finish line sometimes to go get moving. So I'll take it. Talked about some other stuff. Hopefully we'll do more dev streams like this in the future. And then for tonight. These are pretty loose descriptions of things that are happening because there's a lot of other stuff going on that like much of it I kind of want to change. Oh, actually, I need this controller in for a second to test a couple. But there's a bunch of other things in progress that I have other notes on other places that I'm not going to get super deep into, but I'll show you maybe one or two things that I might be messing with for the next little bit. Plug you in. Hopefully this controller will work. Oh yeah, I'm sure we've got stuff that we aren't totally caught up on. We might be. We started watching the newer episodes of My Hero finally. If there was one over this past weekend, we didn't see that yet. I'm not sure what else. Let's see. Oh. Try this thing. This should bring up a menu, and all right, so that's still not working right. So there's, I'd switched this. So this is one of the we'll try to fix this error at minimum, and then kind of work backwards from there. This used to be the let me try to load a level. Okay, so this is actually even a different icon. That's technically different. So we've got those arrows there. Let's go back to the main menu. So that little bubble that designates kind of which menu option you're on in this menu. Let's go loop around again. That used to be the icon that was also on this screen next to continue over here. And then I thought to myself, that like sort of makes sense, but it makes less sense than having an A prompt here, since the thing we actually want people to do right here is hit the A button. It doesn't really matter for this screen as much specifically, because this one's just kind of just a little message coming out of that like staging level where you like set stuff up, like put on your costumes, buy stuff from the shop or whatever. But it'll matter much more in the subsequent gameplay levels, because we'll have this basically the same screen, but this prompt will have like gameplay relevant information about how you did in a level and if you got any bonuses or whatever. So we don't necessarily want people to just tear through it on those other levels, which is why we want people to push a button to continue to the next level. But again, with the little like the little bubble icon there, like I feel like eventually players would just like look down at the controller and kind of wait patiently and then assume like, oh, this seems longer than a load should be, and then hit a button and then it would go. But you know, I figured, fuck, cut out the middleman. This is the button we want him to hit. Let's just put that button on there. But for whatever reason, I have made a couple versions of this button that are supposed to do that little like pulsing in and out at different scales. So this one should be larger. Like if, let's go to another example. So if I just get wiped out here, you'll see this is another really tiny change that we made. And actually, one of the things I changed over the weekend that I'm really proud of is Marta taking damage now. The rate at which she takes damage has been changed a little, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. If you look here, this was also a, I think this was all just static text before. like including this line that says press a button to continue, but I wanted this to be dynamic with different controllers that you plugged in. Oh yeah, the stream settings are not, part of it could be the stream settings for sure if it's just not that well readable, because none of this stuff is optimized for text the way we were compressing stuff and whatever. It's more like all those settings are set up for gameplay when we do that. I would be surprised if we're losing a little in translation there over the stream. But anyway, yeah, the other button on that other screen should be much more like this size. Like, basically exactly the size is what I wanted it to be, and then I was going to work backwards from there, see if I wanted it to be at a different scale that was somewhere between, like, that would be larger than it is now, but maybe still smaller than this, depending on how it looks. Because it should be the same object, but for some reason I haven't gotten it to work right. I don't know. But I am proud of putting this here, because like I said, if, for example, if I took this PlayStation controller and plugged it in instead, it would just change to an X based on some of that other coding I did before that just changes the iconography based on which controller you have plugged in. But that's the goal right now. So the thing we're going to do right this moment is try to figure out why this one is this size and the other one is smaller, since they're based on the same game object and they should be identical. Let's unplay that and let's go to that level. Because this is basically just like a mostly empty scene with a camera and a few things in front of said camera. It's got this screen transition thing, which is another thing we added, and that was just like assets we pulled over. Cucumber. Got this, which we'll fill in with more text, and then we've got that A button prompt. And this is all stuff I've learned a little because Lorraine did way more of this before, and then in order to tweak some of this stuff, I did a little Googling around and tried to figure it out to the best of my ability, but this is based in the Unity animators. It's basically a Unity animator object that is attached to here that does the pulsing, the in and the out. So when I click on, I click on this object in the scene, and then I click in. And this is basically like the flow of it starts and then goes to this animation, and that animation is, there we go. And so that'll have an animation that goes for, you know, a couple seconds and travels across these keyframes. So from 0 to, you know, a few seconds into basically a minute. I think that's the loop there. Play it, you'll see. Go. So those values should basically be ping-ponging between like 1.5 and 2-ish for the X and Y scales. Again, we'll look over here and see the name of this one. But now, because this is just a prefab, so if I put a prompt large here and click it, large. So the thing I think maybe I'm missing here, just because I'm not as familiar with it, is I don't know why it's not changing some of the stuff in the inspector even as I click on it. Or are these... Alright, maybe that's the problem, because this one is labeled as new up here. And I think part of that was just because I was having issues trying to figure out how to make this work exactly. So it's new on this game object. Is the other one, the slightly older one, that was, I think, just like me? No, that one says new. Now let's go to, it's the... That's there, but I don't think that's even actually. And there's an A button prompt large. See, but this one does have the wrong controller. That's where I'm getting screwed up, I guess. Don't know why that is, because I thought I had applied it. Maybe it's because I ended up putting this other one in this inheritance tree that it got all jacked up. Let's just drag that over there. Save this scene. Hope that it doesn't break the scene, because I've had that happen for some reason sometimes when saving that level. And then, yeah. Try it now. Okay. There we go. Problem solved. And honestly, at least for the moment, I think I'm satisfied with that size on that thing. I might scoot the word continue a little bit to have it line up a little better. Other than that, I think that's fine. That gets the point across. Let's pause it here for a second. Like, check the relative position on that thing so I can go update it. Really the word? Moved it. Sure. Eight, 6, and 7. All right, let's do that. Then play that whole thing. This one. Let's apply those changes. Thing. This. Then. All right, so that should have moved a tiny bit, and then we'll check something else too to see if those changes actually did take across. All right, that looked all right, I guess. And then I think I actually programmed a button press to do this, but I don't remember what it is right now. So we're just gonna cheat our way to the end of the level and see if it looks the same on this one too, because that button prompt should be the same. The text will be a little different. Okay. I love the positioning. Word continue. Search, because I dropped down the hierarchy for some. Even did I do 8-6? Is that what I did? Is that what? Yeah, I think that's what it. Changed it to 8-6. I didn't add a 6 to the 9. That's pretty good. I mean, horizontal distance is still probably fine. 378 and copy that. 288. Back to the shop level. And again, in any scene with that prefab, I could really realistically be changing it in there too, but I don't know. For any of the stuff that's shared across the scenes, I always go to the shop level for some reason. That seems. And then again, just to trying to convey valuable information in here anyway. The only reason I keep going back to the title screen to load the game is just because of, it's not a Unity thing, it just happens to be a way we have set up down the drain specifically where when you boot up the executable, it'll load up a scene that pretty much the only thing that scene does is instantiate some objects and set them to don't destroy on load, so they'll persist across the entire run of the game. Like the audio controller and stuff like that, like things that you would need in every level, no matter what. And then we spit at the game proper. So if you tried to load the game at a different level that isn't that startup level, it'll be real mad because some objects won't exist because they won't have been created in the level that spins the game up. Go back over here. Yeah, that looks fine. All right. We'll go do that thing again. Cheat. Sure that took on this one too. All right, that looks fine. Good deal. Okay, so that's done. We can cross that off the list. That's working. Other thing I think I can do is transition, A button large, and this thing in menu things, costume select, A button, folder. This is still used because it's used on the small ones. This one is actively used for the active large ones. And then these animations each correspond to one of those controllers. So like this controller feeds this one. This controller feeds this one. This one doesn't do anything because it was one of the ones I had made accidentally. Like I made it and tested it, didn't quite work. And then I think I made this new one just to get a clean slate after that. So this I should be able to delete. And again, fingers crossed. Not take it for granted that I didn't screw something up, and let's at least run a level or two and that the dang game is still working. Fine. Disappears fine. And it's actually fine to cheese outside too, because you can technically touch the ending trigger from the outside of the pipes, which is valuable for when I cheat and place her in the wrong spot. All right, that looks okay. So this is screwed up now. And that I have to fix. That's a separate thing of this is like weirdly off center. Let's make sure that that's happening universally, because I think it is. Fixing stuff. Might as well fix. I don't think it happened in this scene. That might just be in the level. That's weird. No, it did. Okay, so that whole thing is a little off center relative to the rest of that object. Let's do it one more time just to like quadruple check. Okay. That needs to be recentered. Fix that. And in fact, nope, that's not actually. Really just the continue button. And that's the spawn point. I think what Lorraine has is like this is just an empty game object that has a position. And then it plops this down from somewhere else in the scene even. Based on that. Where that see how extreme that ends. That one was mostly good. Could stand to move still even a tiny bit more. Oh. Need anything? And cheat at the video game. Even might be a slight issue with the camera movement stuff here too, which is also still a problem that we need to address separately, but still. Try that, whatever. That's definitely that definitely seems different than the other scene even. Let's go to the next one, like this gameplay level, and see how it looks here. That might be a whole. Okay, yeah, so there might even be like a weird scaling thing or something going on, but these are definitely different, and I'm not 100% sure why. So that's gonna be its own little, like, line of questioning at some point. Could just be the camera. I'm 100% sure, because that's actually on one of my other lists of things to fix. Is that the way it halts the camera movement when it transitions to this little like transition scene is not accurate. Like it's not. It doesn't. I want it to full stop, but there's code that tries to make the camera follow her as she's moving that is not getting disabled at the right time. Where it's still like for whatever reason. Just because we've got something set up not quite right. When you hit like when you activate the trigger that ends the level, if she's moving at all, even a little bit, the camera will still be like slightly moving in whatever direction she was moving and then stop, as opposed to just stopping dead and then either going to this little scene or having the scene placed in front of it. I forget which is which. Yeah, so that scene kind of like sucks itself into frame. But then if you happen to still be like moving her, like that's not the gameplay Marta. This is a different Marta that is just for this little sequence that shows her, going down here. But if you happen to be still moving when you activated that thing, when you push that button, yeah, the camera will try to still track her for a couple frames, and kind of throw the whole thing on a whack a little bit. Because I did check into that at one point. I don't know if I made it better or if I just didn't really do anything to it, but I did check into it once. Let's see. While the scene is active. Open you up. Got it. Come on, Visual Studio, you can do it, I believe. Okay. Let's hit this on the other screen for a second. I'm gonna open at least one more script and then drag this into view so that code behind. Yeah, maybe I even didn't press that and I just thought I did because it sure doesn't look like anything is different in the way that I kind of was expecting it to be, unless maybe there's some. Will sort of look like what I was going for whenever I was checking that out last. So we're going to ignore a lot of these other scripts that open right now. We'll just look at these two. So this is the one that controls the movement of the camera. This is the one that, generally speaking, controls most of Marta's higher functions. Here's a reference to the camera. Get set in there. Okay, that's for the coin counter. So that just, we're upgrading some of that stuff. That's commented out. Maybe that's where I was missing with this. Right here. No, that doesn't. And stuff that I just changed at some point. That's just that thing, which this was kind of new code that, like, that little black iris effect that kind of shrinks like Looney Tunes style or whatever. I did add that to this game just to give, and I'm not done necessarily doing that either, but I did want to give a tiny bit more little, position myself here. Tiny bit more little like visual indication that you had actually died, that like, I'm not done iterating on that yet, but I think adding that little effect is better than nothing, because before it was just like a hard smash cut to the next, like the results screen or whatever, if you had your health ticked to 0. And so the other little bit of code that I probably need to look at here. Let's mark up. Movement, that stops. This call I might have to check out actually. Let's look at. Wouldn't be surprised. Image, hibiscus. Sample exit pipe control. That itself doesn't actually stop Murdo's movement. All right. Gotta paint them bathrooms after all. So this does have a reference to the player. It has player set active equal. Then let's look at that function. He must inherit that. Probably just the input taker. I'm guessing. Let's see how robust I made that stuff. So that's just a... Oh, so that's not even a script call. That's just literally... Okay. Yeah, maybe there's where we can make a bigger change. Because deactivating her whole game object is maybe fine. Like I might not even change that. I might just have it also do something else. Because yeah, this is a lot of the code that I haven't written nearly as much of. A lot of the stuff was stuff that Lorraine wrote and I glanced at once and tried to get the gist of it to the best of my abilities in 10 minutes and then just kind of moved on to doing other shit. Let's try something. This is not public, so it means that it gets that reference. Right? Or is it just... Okay, so she's only setting it when the player is encountered with the trigger here. So basically, when the player enters that trigger volume, we're checking if it is the player because that object is tagged player, and if it is, we're grabbing that. And then let's go ahead and there's starting end sequence. In fact, I'm gonna assume that we didn't really had a problem with this. I'm gonna assume that the rest of that code is kind of rock solid anyway in terms of like there will always be a player reference if this is ever called, but never hurts to be thorough. So do something like, oh, nope, not plain. All right, so if there is a reference to player at all, we're going to do that. We're going to do player, roller. Nope. Then we're just gonna have that call to okay, then I have to create that. So all the way to the bottom here, which is what I usually do. I add random code to one of these scripts that's way too long. Uh, oh, could do something like that too, since this function already exists. Hmm. We'll see. I'll hold off on that. I will. I guess I'll put this code right here since it's at least next to this other thing that's camera related. I'm stupid. I'll have to go here and set up something else in here. Right at the bottom. Yeah, I might skip the middleman and just, for right now, we'll just do this. Since we started down this path, we're just going to do it. Fine. Up. And then here. Yeah, this will do it. Sure. Right at the bottom here. Might do it. Might do something. Let's see. We will find out. Because the other thing that I might need to do. like if this has already been called. I'm not sure if it'll still persist. I suspect it might, because I'm actually not super familiar with all this other stuff she's calling to move the stuff. I haven't messed with it a ton myself. But let's try it, whatever. Let's just experiment a bit. In fact, do both states here. First, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna set this back to doing nothing. Because with that line commented out, it should be as if we didn't change anything at all. And then load up this initial level here like 2 or 3 times and just see if you can get examples of like the thing here would be like if I'm standing perfectly still and I hit A, I would expect nothing weird to happen. But if I'm moving like this, I want to make sure I'm getting basically as much movement as I can when I push the button. Yeah, so you get shit like that, which is an extreme case of what we're talking about. Let's do that like 1 more time, maybe 2 more times, just to prove the point. Oh. All right. So, go back over here. Comment that bad boy. Again. Okay, that looked promising. This is still like the spacing in here is a little weird, but that's unrelated. Because those are slightly different, but not completely different issues. Try that shit again. All right, that looks okay. One more time. Okay, I'm gonna call that tentatively fixed. That definitely looks better. Although that still doesn't explain, like I might have to look at, might have to see if the camera zoom is a little different on some of those levels or something, because I'm just not sure why this space here is so much more cramped, it looks like on this screen, than the next one. Let's go ahead and let's load up another one. I do the same thing over here. Just really try to screw it up. Okay, no, it looks about the same now. All right, I'm gonna assume then that any of that other offset was just the camera being swayed a little bit one way or the other while we were still moving. So then what I might have to do is either just get a tiny bit smaller. I could do that. It doesn't need to be exactly that size. That's it. Triple check. Okay, so they see that's what I don't want to do. So this is another thing where, based on some of the ways learning to set some of this stuff up, I might want to tweak some of it. So yeah, what I might have to do here is already kind of its own hierarchy. All transition score sheet. Boss one, which is technically a different object. That's good to know. Or game up. Alright, well, let's unplay that. It's really only got references to itself. That's valuable information. A couple of changes. Most notably, this is the thing I noticed in a couple other Lorraine's other game objects that like this, and this is the thing I forget because I actually haven't used changes in scale a ton for doing some of the same things that Lorraine did, and that's not good or bad. It's just a choice. Like, I don't think the way she did it is wrong. I don't necessarily think the way I've done it some other times is right. I think we just chose to, in certain cases, implement things in different ways. But what I have noticed that, like, this is a thing I'm more am re-remembering every time I encounter it than initially remembering, is that if you have something in the parent-child hierarchy, game object-wise, so like, for example, this is the parent object and all of these underneath it, you'll notice that all those bits of text are technically different, but if I change the scale here, it changes everything. It does not just change, and that's regardless of what these are set at. Like, so it'll change, like, even though those say a scale of 1, which would make you think that they would say that stay the same size, like there's no visual indicator on here. Changing the scale on this does kind of flow through the hierarchy and change the scale on literally every other object. So if I want to, for example, change the size of this green background here, but not change the size of the text, which is actually totally what I want to do. Let's all this back. And then, because there's no inherent reason that this sprite needs to be on the top object in this hierarchy, it just kind of is happens to be. You know, it's an easy, obvious place to put that. That's pause window 1. Be cool. Oh, opened. It opened this menu on my other screen. That's the one. Got that. I'm gonna make sure it's on the right layers and stuff. Simple. Level transition order in layer 3. 3. I'm not gonna delete this right away, but I am gonna disable it. So that now the background we're seeing is this one. So I disabled the original one. If I disable this one as well, this green stuff should all just disappear. Okay. And now I can change that scale to, say, let's do. I might have to recenter that text a little bit. But although really, like the detail on the edges is not so obvious that, like, I probably could just shrink it across the x-axis and leave it on the y, and I don't think it would necessarily matter. Like, that still looks fine. And then all the text still fits in there. I don't even really have to recenter it at this point, but it should give us just enough breathing room around the edges to be fine. I'm thinking that'll be a-okay. I'll leave this disabled for now. I'm not going to delete it just yet. But yeah, let's give that a shot. I don't know why, but I always like to set the coordinates to stuff to like 0, 0 or just something uniform before I commit changes to game objects, because it does remember shit like that. And if you're taking a thing and plopping it in a scene and then manually putting it somewhere, it doesn't really matter what those default values are set to. But if you have things like, again, for example, if you have things either in a parent-child hierarchy of game objects and you have their values set to something certain by default, or if you spawn an object and then happen to immediately make it the child of something, and it has coordinate values for its positional values by default, then it will automatically be offset by those values when applied to that parent object, and it'll be in a weird spot you're not expecting it to, and it's stupid and bad and annoying. So now that we've done that, let's run the whatever. And okay, so that did work, but that text is a little longer than we need it to be. Okay, now I just have to think about how much I care about that. To change the text, or shrink the text, or I think I'm gonna go with the window at this size. That part I think I'm gonna leave. As far as this stuff, I think that's a little wordy anyway, and that was just something I'm pretty sure I just pooped out off the top of my head to make it say. Let me do a quick. Bet that's done code somewhere. Extremely lazy way of trying to find it. Maybe not. Maybe I just search for it too. Bet it's set in here. Yeah, there you go. Even if I just remove that, it's barely different. And I honestly, like, these two are probably fine. This could still be changed to just say something different, like ready to play or something like that. But for now, I'm a big fan of removing words when things are too verbose anyway. That's fine for now. Perfect. I can totally live with that. Because this text will probably change a little bit, but then more importantly, let's go ahead and load into the other level. I'll describe a thing that, like, maybe this is one of the things I'll do the next time I stream game dev. We'll see. But you get to the end of the level and then I'll describe it. So another thing. Yeah, that looks just fine. All right, we're gonna stick with that for tonight at least. But so you look here, you'll see percent cleared, total coins, and time. All the information in here is gonna change ever so slightly. And that, like, this will be percent cleared and a percentage. And then there'll also be a number of coins you are awarded for clearing a certain percentage. And then similarly, these will both change a little to, like, you know, time cleared, the number in which you cleared it, and then plus some coins. And then down here near the bottom, where there's currently nothing, there will be like a like this will probably be changed to say something more like coins collected, and then something down here will be like bonus coins, which would basically be like the sum of the coins you acquired here, and then total coins, which might be the total coins that you have accrued thus far while playing the game. Because right now, all these three things don't really mean anything. This dates back to like the original origin of the game, where Lorraine just thought it was cool to track like the percentage of stuff you cleaned up, and particularly how long it took you to beat any given level. And I think that's fine, and we're gonna maintain that a little bit to some extent. But I do want it to mean something in a gameplay context for like the way we've changed the game otherwise so far. So what I actually want this to do is if you clear a certain percentage of stuff at the level, you'll get some bonus coins for doing that. If you beat a given level in a certain amount of time relative to how large the map on any given level is, you'll get a certain number of coins for doing that. And those will be basically your incentives to either beat a level quickly or be very thorough in cleaning up a level. Is it'll give you coin bonuses, and the coins kind of feed into the entire, like, the larger gameplay loop in general of I want to beat levels to get coins, to buy more cool power-ups, to finally beat more levels and beat the whole game. So that might be one of the next things we tackle. We'll see. I don't know if I have it on this PC or not, but I have a different note document with a bunch of thoughts on like values to start testing with and how that might go down or whatever. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it next time. But yeah, I think honestly that's good enough for this evening. I just wanted to get in a little bit of work, throw some stuff off the dome, and just get it out of my mouth and into the ether so that I can keep messing with stuff going forward. October was definitely not my most productive month for a lot of the stuff. A tiny little bit of that was other work stuff, and then a lot of it was just honestly just life kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and not in any particular way. I just found myself, I think, slightly more down than usual. You know, sometimes like little depressive waves hit everybody from time to time, and I think I just found myself in a real funk, yeah, in like mid to late October, and I just lost a couple of weeks of being way less productive than I could have. But Maker Faire, or not Maker Faire, YumaCon helped a lot in that, like, it was just nice to do something that was a different change of pace, and it still always makes me feel good when even a handful of people check the game out and they seem to like it, because it makes me feel like finally finishing it, like, in a way, like actively finishing it. Like, I always want it to be done, but I feel better about it. Just makes me just makes it feel worth doing when even like one or two people just kind of check it out and seem into it. So hoping to do better in November, including more streams like this and just fucking getting more shit done. But in any case, that's where we're at for tonight. So I think I'm gonna call it a stream right there. Thank you so much for chilling with me. I very much appreciate it. We'll definitely be doing something else next Thursday. Either this or playing some video games. And then over the course of the week, hopefully no later than next Tuesday, if not at some other point, I will do more game dev streaming at just like some time in the afternoon, probably anywhere from like 1 to 3-ish. I would start streaming and then, you know, end a few hours after whenever it begins. So I'll keep an eye out for that. And yeah, with all that in mind, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you for chilling once again, and see you later, Brian. See you later, Internet. I'll catch you next time. If I can find there it is. Bye-bye.